Foxboro woke up different. An aggressive move could change the defense. The offense just gained a new layer. Underrated pieces might explode in the game plan, and the next matchup promises to reveal who we really are. There's a hot rumor, a tactical adjustment that explains the turnaround, players pushing for more snaps, and a rare opportunity against a rival full of cracks. And in the middle of it all, one uncomfortable question. Are we ready to hit the gas now, or are we going to miss the train? Take a breath. Nothing here is ordinary. You won't believe what we've got today. So take a seat, drop a like, and let's go straight to the news. The first story needs to be unpacked with care, without losing the adrenaline that took over Foxboro in the last few hours. You know that whisper that starts in the back rooms and suddenly becomes a debate in the locker room and the coach's office. That's what's happening. The phone won't stop because one specific name popped up on lists of potential trades if an AFC rival keeps hesitating on a long extension. And the reason is simple: setting the edge. Finishing first contact and killing Yak isn't a luxury, it's an immediate need. Mike Vrabel hammered that all week before facing Pittsburgh, demanding fewer yards after the catch and more 3-and-outs. When the staff looks at the map of urgent needs, the conclusion is direct. We need a finisher who turns pressure into quarterback panic without selling our soul by blitzing every down. That piece exists. He's in Florida, and he could change the defense on the very first third down snap. The target is Jaylen Phillips, the Dolphins' edge. The financial context doesn't scare anyone. Miami already exercised the fifth-year option for 2025, so he's under a guaranteed value next year, and the projected cap hit sits around $13.25 million. The Patriots have plenty of space to absorb that, and if it makes sense, build a 3- or 4-year extension with roster bonuses and options that preserve flexibility to invest at wide receiver and along the offensive line. In practice, it's possible to turn a rental into a core piece without handcuffing other moves. And there's a tactical detail that's hard to resist. Reducing the need to blitz to create heat frees up the linebackers and secondary to play more aggressively, a formula that has always shined in Vrabel's best work. On the field, the fit speaks for itself. In base, Phillips lines up as a 7-tech or 9-tech, controls contain, forces the running back into help, and shortens the path to the linebacker's inside shoulder. On third downs, he becomes a wide rusher in an aggressive package next to the best interior penetrator available, squeezing the pocket and speeding up reads. The direct result: less time for routes to develop, fewer long islands for Christian Gonzalez, and more 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 situations, exactly where New England wants to live. His tape addresses the wound that hurt most early in the season, arriving and finishing the play on first contact, without allowing second efforts that turn into chains moved by Yak. Price always defines the conversation. A package floated by insiders makes tactical and financial sense: a 2026 second-rounder plus a 2025 fifth that's conditional on games and snaps. It's a structure that protects New England in case of any health setback, but still gives Miami real draft value up front. It's not cheap, but it buys immediate impact exactly where the roster needs it most: finishing plays on first contact, fewer missed tackles, more 3-and-outs, shorter fields for Josh McDaniels, and by extension, an easier life for Drake May against tired defenses. There are risks, and they need to be treated seriously. Phillips has had health scares, so rotation and snap management are mandatory, along with conditional triggers in any future extension to align risk and reward. There's also the opportunity cost. Investing picks in a pass rusher reduces wiggle room elsewhere. The counter-argument? Organic pressure, a clear identity, and a message to the AFC that New England is accelerating the timeline. If the Dolphins' start stays bumpy, the temperature on this rumor rises by the day. And that's not even the most surprising part, because the question echoing in our locker room already changed tone. It stopped being, "Is it worth it?" and became, "What's the rational limit to fix the edge once and for all?" So I'll throw it to you. How far would you go for an edge who can redefine 10 straight third downs and change the face of the season? The big question hanging after the opener against the Raiders was simple. Did Josh McDaniels really bring a new plan, or were we about to repeat the same mistakes of the past? The noise was loud because the coordinator returned to New England with a different speech after time away from the NFL, a stretch he spent studying new college trends, revisiting concepts, and getting closer to a reality far from what he lived alongside Tom Brady. The hope was clear: to use Drake May in a way we've never seen before, valuing mobility, off-platform throws, and quick processing at an accelerated tempo. But none of that showed up in week 1. The offense sputtered, never found rhythm, and left that bitter deja vu aftertaste. Against the Dolphins, everything flipped. Suddenly, we saw a fluid offense, May comfortable, and McDaniels orchestrating sequences that recalled the peak of his first run here. Pre-snap motion, crossing concepts to create space, calls that exploited Miami's defensive aggression, and most importantly, an adaptation to the identity of a young, fearless quarterback. Fans looked at the field and saw something we hadn't seen in years: legitimate hope that the offense can be the protagonist. And that's exactly what McDaniels hinted at in this week's interviews. He didn't hide that what we saw in Miami is much closer to what he intends to implement going forward. It almost sounded like a message: be patient, the rebuild is real, and the best is still coming. The strategic impact is huge. If this design solidifies, the defense finally gets a breather, because it no longer carries the entire weight of keeping the Patriots alive in grimy games. Plus, May's development gains another layer. Instead of forcing the kid to replicate the past, the plan is to mold the structure around his talent. There's nothing more energizing for a locker room than feeling the staff believes in the franchise's central piece. That's the point of McDaniel's second act. Not repeating formulas, but rewriting the manual for a new era. Even the fan base noticed the difference. From the stands to social media, the comments ranged from "this is what we expected" to "finally an offense that doesn't die in the red zone." Of course, one game doesn't define a season, but it's undeniable that a 30-point road win against a divisional rival refuels the tank that seemed empty. What we saw could be the base of an identity that combines aggressiveness, creativity, and discipline. The exact trio missing since Brady retired. It's early, but the seed has been planted. And as one local analyst put it, the Patriots offense doesn't need to be perfect right now. It needs to show signs of life, and that already happened. The question is, does McDaniel still have more cards up his sleeve? Because if what we saw was just the first chapter, what comes next could redefine not just this season, but the direction of the franchise. If the Dolphins game gave us the first glimpse of a reinvented offense, the next week's conversation centered on what Josh McDaniels called the style we want to play from here on out. And here's a detail that could turn promise into reality, using pieces that have been in the background so far but carry the potential to unlock the system even more. Stephon Diggs, a receiver used to dominating defenses, and Demario Douglas, an explosive young weapon who flashed in practice, still haven't had consistent impact. That creates a curious feeling. If the offense already popped without truly featuring them, what happens when they're fully baked into the plan? The answer could come as soon as the Steelers game. McDaniels hinted at adjustments to expand those roles. Picture May already showing poise and accuracy from the pocket, with Diggs winning in the intermediate game and Douglas exploding from the slot. That combo not only expands the playbook but forces defenses to pick their poison. If they roll help toward Diggs, Douglas gets space to punish. If they clamp the kid, the veteran draws favorable matchups. The result is a constant dilemma for any defensive coordinator, and that might mark the birth of the offensive identity McDaniels keeps defending. Fans, of course, are pressing. After seeing Diggs with limited production over the first 2 weeks, reactions range from frustration to anticipation. When are they unleashing him? It's time to use our bell. That public demand echoes inside the building, because players know sustainable winning depends on maximizing talent, not living off flashes. If the Miami plan was about rhythm and distribution, now comes the moment to spotlight the star. It's a natural transition, but also a trial by fire for McDaniels, proving he can balance patience with the urgency the NFL demands. Strategy is everything here. Facing the Steelers means dealing with a physical defense that loves to suffocate attacks. Relying on a single target, that's why variety is the key. Use Diggs in motion. Get Douglas quick screens or rapid-fire routes to relieve pressure. And above all, cement May as a maestro who can identify the right read in seconds. The beauty is that this evolution doesn't require revolution. It requires confidence to open the playbook, trust the playmakers, and keep the boldness we saw in Miami. Analysts noticed the shift in tone. Some pointed out that by saying what we saw against the Dolphins is the style we want to follow, McDaniels didn't just praise execution, he telegraphed the plan. Critics, on the other hand, warned, if Diggs and Douglas remain underused, euphoria will quickly morph into doubt. In the end, this week isn't just about winning or losing, it's about proving the offensive rebuild has substance and that the staff knows how to use the weapons they asked the front office to bring in. And that's the central point. If the offense already revived positive ghosts of the past without firing all its ammo, what happens when everything gets unleashed? The answer won't please the AFC, but hold on, because that's not even the most surprising part of the day. The big question now is, will we see Diggs and Douglas explode alongside May this Sunday, or will McDaniels keep a few more cards hidden? The task now is massive. The Patriots enter Week 3 needing to prove the turnaround against Miami wasn't a fluke, but the start of a new trajectory. The opponent is heavyweight, the Steelers led by Aaron Rodgers, with a revamped offensive line and an attack boosted by impact additions like DK Metcalf. In other words, this is no ordinary test. This is a matchup that can reveal the team's short-term ceiling. And to top it off, there's the storyline weight. Vrabel facing another high-profile coach, May dealing with a defense that loves to bring heat, and a classic AFC duel that always delivers tension. But the script isn't the horror show some painted us. Pittsburgh arrives with serious problems on defense. Beyond visible struggles, 2 straight weeks allowing 30-plus even with the unit nearly complete. The injury list is enough to make any rival fan lick their chops. Isaiah Loudermilk Buttermilk and Alex Highsmith are out, and the secondary also lost important names. Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. won't play. That means the Steelers take the field without a starting safety, and one of their key corners, opening a rare window for an offense coming off its best performance in almost 2 years. It's like the universe is saying, Patriots, show us you've really changed. And it doesn't stop there. The standout stat is that even with most of their guys available, Pittsburgh gave up 30+ in the first 2 rounds. Now without half of the defensive spine, the risk of another avalanche is real. Drake May shows up at the perfect time, confident, coming off a game where he spread the ball around and looked mature. With McDaniels tweaking the playbook and Diggs Douglas demanding more involvement, repeating or even surpassing 30 points against a direct conference rival isn't a pipe dream, it's a concrete possibility. And here's the cherry on top, the chance to leave September with a winning record, something that felt distant after the disastrous opener. Of course, you can't ignore TJ Watt. The former DPOY is still priority number 1 and he'll be out there. But so far, unbelievably, he has 9 tackles and 0 sacks. That opens the door to a key point. If the Patriots' offensive line holds up and keeps Watt from wrecking May's rhythm, the rest of the puzzle gets simpler. An offense in rhythm against a banged-up defense at home with growing confidence. The equation points to the most symbolic win of the Rebel era so far. And make no mistake, beating Pittsburgh in this context isn't just another W. It's a message to the entire league. The Patriots stopped being bystanders and are ready to punch up at the heavyweights. The fan base feels the moment. On forums, the vibe is measured euphoria. It's now or never. If they don't seize this game, forget it. That only cranks up the tension. Every snap becomes proof of concept for the rebuild. And while everyone debates whether Rodgers can still steer a contender, the question echoing in Foxboro is even more direct. Are Drake May and this offense ready to roll a historically proud defense right when it's bleeding? Take a breath. Patriots Nation, today we saw a plan take shape. Between the possibility of an edge who flips third downs, an offense finally clicking under McDaniels in May, and the chance to prove it all against a traditional rival, it's clear the season script just changed tone. Now it's about execution, discipline, and the courage to floor it when the window opens. Do you believe New England has the juice to turn promise into contender status this year? Drop your take in the comments, share the video, hit like, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Sunday could be the first step towards something big.